Hello, and welcome everyone. Thanks for joining the 5th Ask Dr. Pille live stream. That's an impressive number to hit. Streaming to you live in 720p.
Yeah, I'm a cheap bastard. I know that.
How are you today, Guillaume?
I'm excellent, ready to go to bed. But
Great.
after this live stream, no, I'm really excited to talk about that little genome project. I had a lot of fun, and I'm sure the team had a lot of fun doing it with me.
Great. Yeah, today, guys. We're talking about the Genome in a Box DIY project. It was the brainchild of Guillaume and is sat next to him right now, that we exhibited at Hellfest. So I'm going to dive right in with a question.
Yeah, let's go.
What was the purpose of the Genome in a Box DIY project, and why did you want to proceed with that?
I think the main reason is because I've been talking to several friends who are guitar techs for major acts, and they were telling me that they were thinking more and more about replacing the entire guitar and bass rig with computers. So mainly like a Mac Mini or Mac Studio audio interface, MIDI switcher, and I thought, I mean, it is a valid idea, and it is something you can think of. I would always recommend probably to have 2 or 3 of those Mac Minis per musician, just in case one doesn't work. But they honestly, they are pretty. I mean, they do work, and it's a pretty solid solution. But I think it's not. I mean, it's not really nice to look at. I mean, just having some computers in a rack drawer, or there's a band we work with, Mirat, and they have actually there are no instrument apart from the guitars themselves. They just have the guitars on stage, guitar and bass, and then they go straight into an audio interface. And I think they are using a Waves, like those Waves computer, which I think are Windows computers, and I'm not sure. And but it's not really fun. And I wanted to be something that was more, can I say, graphic, like something that's more fun, and I think something that looked like an amp, but is not an amp, does almost what the amp does, plus all the effects of Genome. I think it was a cooler version of it. And I mean, we've seen similar things, like we remember the Line 6 Veta, for example, or some other products using digital. I mean, plenty of tiny amps are actually a computer. They're just using DSPs instead of regular processor with Windows or Linux. But again, I wanted it to be something that's pretty much anybody can build, and see if we could put it out.
Well, we did, and it worked. So what's inside that project? As a short overview, what did you include in that?
So what you need to do your system is, well, the basic stuff is that everyone has in their home studio. So you will have a computer. Obviously, you need an audio interface. For the audio interface, we need one that has an instrument input, so we can plug directly the guitar or the bass. What's the difference between the instrument input and the microphone input or the line input, Ross? What do you think is different?
The impedance and the level.
There you go. So, because when you plug an instrument, the instrument is actually an audio source that has a high impedance output, which is not great for transmitting electricity. So you need to plug into an input device that has a high impedance as well. That's similar to the high impedance input impedance you have on an amp, which is typically between a couple or several hundred ohms. Sorry, several hundred thousand ohms, and 1 or 2 mega ohms. So we need that instrument input. So we have computer audio interface. I didn't want to include a screen, but of course, if you want to edit the presets, uh, you need a screen and a keyboard and a mouse. So some people already told us, well, why not take a laptop? I mean, yes, the laptop has the screen and the keyboard, but again, the idea was to make something that looked like an amp. So at Hellfest, we had a big TV screen like the one we have behind me, and keyboard and mouse, just to be able to tweak the presets. Since we had demos and artists playing on the booth, I wanted to be able to change the preset to what they preferred. All of that, and then you have that user interface, or what I call the user interface, which is the knobs and the buttons to change the presets or to activate the capsim or the FX we have on a preset. And to do that, we used an open source project um, that's called Open Deck. We talk about it in our series of videos. And on Open Deck, so it's a software that you can load into a whole range of uh, processors or boards that feature a processor. And we decided to take one that was actually the simplest one to use, where you just had to drag and drop a firmware into the board memory. It was instant and it does work. And after that, you plug into your computer to select what you do with the various input outputs. And we connected several encoders or potentiometers or switches into that boards, wired everything, soldered everything to a front plate. This is the part that probably not everyone can do. It actually takes a bit of gear to be able to solder and to connect everything and test everything. So that part is probably a tiny bit more complicated. But all, I needed to do that because, again, I wanted to look like an ad. And like you could just use a MIDI controller that you buy from a store, a laptop, and an audio interface, and you're good. That's actually what my friends, my guitar tech friends, will actually end up doing. And then we contacted our buddies at Invader Amplification, and so they had just to. I mean, I contacted them asking, "Okay, guys, do you have an empty head shell that I could use and you will not sell?" So they had this one, which where the Tolex was fine. So we took it, we added a Tunos logo, we created that front plate that they actually. So it's actually a plastic front plate where we use laser engraving. It's quick. It looks nice. We poked some holes in it and connected it to everything that's inside. So inside we have the tiny computer, the MIDI controlling board, a USB hub, so we can connect USB devices like the keyboard and mouse. And the funny detail about the thing is that since the computer is inside the M case, which is a metal case here behind the front plate, the computer was overheating, and it's incredibly hot where we were at Hellfest. We were in a tent. It was incredibly hot that weekend. So I added, and it's not plugged because it's actually a little bit noisy. I added a little fan. That's the fan that we have in the Captor X, but we have it run at 12 volts, so full speed all the time. So it's a little bit noisy, but it's incredibly effective. And at Hellfest, we did not have any issue with heat. I mean, at least I couldn't notice it. So how do we notice that the heat is an issue on a small computer? Well, simply the processor will start running at a lower speed to try and decrease the temperature of the core. And I mean the core of the processor, which means your performance just is degrading quickly, and you have to increase the buffer size just so you still can play with the effect and you don't suffer from missing buffers, something that everybody knows. When you on your computer, when you try to put a buffer that's too small, you will hear cracks and pops in the sound. So I wanted to avoid that. And the little fan actually did its job by extracting the heat from inside the box. So yeah, so that's, I mean, it's at the same time it's simple and it's not. I understand the MIDI part of it can be complicated for most people, but the rest is just plug and play. There is nothing complicated. We had to do a little bit of tweaking in the BIOS of the computer because it's designed, it's an Intel N100, so it's a processor that's used for mobile application, which means it features a whole lot of features to help preserve the battery life and improve the battery life, which we don't care about because there's no battery. And so it can run for longer times when you run it out of a battery. But in our case, we didn't care about that. So we removed as much as possible all the low level features that will actually improve the battery life by degrading the processor speed or having it change all the time to adapt to the load. But when you have a real time processing like you have in Genome, you need to run the processor at a steady speed and not have those bumps in the speed that will actually degrade the real time process. So anyway, so it took us probably a few hours of work. I did some of it. Sebastian did the MIDI stuff. Igor did the CPU optimization for the processor. I mean, it was a team effort. It was a lot of fun.
Awesome. So aside from the heat issues and having to optimize the processor, were there any performance limitations that you encountered with that specific computer that we decided to use?
Well, so the one we used, I don't know if we put a link to it in the YouTube video, but it's just something I just bought out of Amazon. It's a small square thing. I wanted to buy the cheapest one, and the cheapest one was 250 euro or 240. I don't even remember the name from the top of my head, but so finding the cheapest was the option. I mean, the cheapest I knew could work. Of course, you can always find a cheaper option. Also, I didn't want to buy just the PCB board. I wanted something that had active what do you call it, ventilation, like active. Please help me, Ross.
Cooling.
Yeah, thank you. So it has a tiny fan at the bottom that extract the hot air at the bottom. And it's not great in terms of how the airflow is going. It's great if you have it on a desk, but for our application, since it's just inside a metal box, it's pretty bad. But anyway, yeah. Again, the idea was to find parts in the office. We have plenty of computers here, but nothing cheap. And I wanted to see if with a very cheap computer I could have it work. I think the computer, yeah, 250, and I had another option for another one, but I was like this one actually advertised the cooling system. So I was like, okay, since I know I will be running it to the road, I wanted to make sure it was probably refreshed or cooled, but it was not enough for us. We had to add a bit of help to it.
I know from first-hand experience how brutal the heat is in that tent. So,
45 Celsius
yeah.
on the Saturday. I mean, it's and also humid, so it's probably the worst condition. But it's good to see like I mean, none of the torpedo device we had that had any issue whatsoever, and the computer was fine. I still had to increase the buffer just a tiny bit compared to our tests here, but just to be on the safe side and make it run at like 35% CPU time all the time, or 40, 50 tops. Sometimes we have some spikes when people just change the preset and stuff. So I just wanted to be safe. So I think we were running it at like 5 milliseconds just to be sure.
Awesome. So On the front of the unit, the physical control arsenal, what did you decide to put on there, and why?
I mean, the this.
Yeah, the knobs and the switches.
So I believe all of them are potentiometers. So classic knobs that you have on an amp or anything, so you have the same feel. And it's not, honestly, the knobs have nothing special. I don't even know which one we use. Probably what we use, like the Alpha series knobs that we use on the rest of the torpedo line. All of that was taken from the stock. The switches, I'm not a fan of the switches that we picked. I think they are pretty bad, but there were ones that we can screw on the front plate to keep. I mean, to stick the front plate to the middle casing. Again, something we just bought from a store. I don't like them. I will remove them someday. They are not sturdy enough. But again, for just the demo or a few days of trade show, that was good enough. And after that, the board itself is an STM evaluation board. So that's something you can find on pretty much anywhere: Amazon, Conrad, Farnell. I mean, it's nothing fancy. It's a little bit expensive. I think the MIDI board was something like $50 or euros. So not cheap. There was a version of the MIDI Open Deck project where you could use a Pico Pi. That's a few dollars. But the Pico Pi didn't have enough IOs on it for potentiometers. So the difference with potentiometers and encoders is that an encoder is just sending a +1, -1 information. So it's already kind of digital, even if it's an analog knob, but it's just sending a plus or minus information into a system that can read it. When you use a potentiometer, you have to plug it into a converter that can read the position of the potentiometer based on the resistance of the potentiometer. And for that, you need to have several channels of converters. And since we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 potentiometers, we needed to have an evaluation board that had enough converters. So 7 in that case. I believe the boards we have has 12 maybe, and the Pico Pi only had maybe a few, 4 or something. So anyway, so yeah, that's not a small budget, like $50 for the board plus some like USB cables, plus the potentiometers are probably $2 each, plus the knobs themselves. Yeah, you're easily quickly get to $80 or yeah, something like 70, $80. So it's not cheap.
And on there, I see we've got gain, bass, middle, treble. Were you keen to have certain controls exposed from Genome to the amp, and did you want to make it function like an amp?
Yeah, so actually had a conversation within the team, especially the people working on Genome, to figure out what controls we would want. So I wanted to have the same controls you find on an amp. So that's why you have gain, bass, mid, treble, presence, volume, and that's similar to an amp. And we actually use the MIDI learn on Genome to just click on like on a preset. We look at the amp part of it. We just click on the controls we want and link it to those knobs by just turning it when we are in MIDI learn mode. So it's very, very easy. And then on top of that, we thought about other options we wanted. So of course, we want to be able to change the preset the same way you will change the channels on an amp. So this is the preset change here. A gate control, I mean, I did not use it much because we didn't need the gate that much. But the gate controls the threshold of the gate. So how much the gate will be affecting the sound. We have an on-off on the gate, on-off on the boost, on-off on the compressor. This one I was not convinced. Actually, we didn't use it. We can also route one push button like this one, the FX one, to several FX in Genome, so I can defeat them all at once. We use that to be able to, without changing the preset, activate two or three effects at once for a solo sound, for example. So you could activate, so you have your bass rhythm sound, and then you activate an EQ, boost, delay, reverb, like 3, 4, 5 FX blocks at once, and it happens on the same effect. So you don't have to load another preset, which takes a bit more time than just activating the effects. So it's pretty nice. It did work well. This one I used a lot, and the cab one is actually interesting if we, because there is no power amp in this, so it's not an amp, right? You need to be plugged into a line level device like a front of house mixer or headphones. Um, but if you want to plug into a power amp and a guitar cabinet, you just have to switch off the cab section here, so you get the full preset without the cab sim, and you can go into a power amp and a cabinet. So that was an interesting option. But we had some debate within the team regarding what exactly we would want if we were using it on stage.
Awesome. Yeah, that was my next question. If you were going to do this again, would you put a power amp in the unit?
Uh, I think it's okay. The reason why I did it that way is because when it was for a specific reason. We wanted to have something cool to show at Hellfest on our booth, and I wanted to use a stereo PA for that event because we were also using the stereo PA that Genome was plugged into for the backing tracks. So since I had the backing tracks running on the PA, it was actually simpler to just use the line out from the audio interface and go straight into the mixer. But if I was to use that on stage, probably I would add a power amp and a cabinet so I can actually have a little bit of sound on stage, and I can still send the line out to the of the audio interface to the front of house and monitors. But that's just me because I like to have a guitar cabinet and some kind of like real guitar sound on stage. But I would be totally fine if I can't do that and just use like in ears or my floor monitors to listen to the Genome sound. That's also totally fine.
Awesome. And the next question. So why did we choose an amp head format where a lot of the modelers out there, which is essentially this DIY project is, a lot of the modeling processes opt for a floorboard solution?
Uh, Look at that. It looks cool. There's absolutely no other reason. Of course, having a tiny box is more practical. Having a large touch screen, I mean, if you like that, I mean, why? Sure. But it was not at all what I wanted to do. What I wanted to do is have something that looked like an amp. So people would stop and say, what's that? Have a very big screen behind it. But like pretty much like we have here. Like imagine you have the head, you have the big screen behind it with Genome, just for people to just to stop and try and figure out what was going on here. I mean, it's not a product. It's, I mean, at the very best, it's a proof of concept, but it's not a product. It's really about having like a prop. I mean, it's not a prop; it's working, but having something that looks cool like an app. Because what we've seen at Hellfest, especially, is that a lot of the visitors are pretty much old school, and they are not necessarily big fan of digital devices. So it was really about the surprise of discovering that that amp was actually a computer. So it was just let's call it a conversation starter. So and there is no other complicated reason. Just thought it was cool.
And I agree. I think it looks great. And who else did we work with outside of Two Notes to realize this project?
So I mean, honestly, not a lot of people. We have Invaders amp for the case. So Invaders designed, well, of course, they designed the case. They built the case. They helped us engrave the like using laser engraving the front plate. They did the Genome logo as well. They also asked them to do like a white. I actually don't know how that's called. The line.
Piping.
Okay,
Yeah.
the piping. because I wanted it to be black and white. And we had our friend Gael from I mean, he's a YouTuber, very good guitarist and good friend. But his day job is actually he owns a shop that makes leather objects like leather belt bags, and he made me a leather handle. So we can't really see it, but you see it in the video, and the unit is plugged, so I can't show it now. But there is a handle that's engraved, like it's actually very good quality leather. That's probably that could be the most expensive part of that project. But as a friend, he offered to do that, and it looks extremely cool when you see the amp from up top. That's all.
I
No
agree.
technical reason whatsoever.
It looks great. It looks great. He did a great job. Well done,
Mm,
Gael.
yeah.
So, looking at this, could you not achieve exactly the same setup with a laptop, an interface, and a MIDI controller? And which I think will probably be agree is yes, you could. Um, but I I personally feel that there's a barrier for guitarists with that, taking a laptop out live, and I'd be interested to hear what you think about that, Guillaume.
Um, well, we need to look at probably two different cases, which are the like a professional large touring act, and you and me going to play at a pub on the Saturday night. I think if you are a big touring act, you need to look at a solution that will not break, that is good quality in terms of audio, but especially that won't break. And so you need to have a redundant system with several computers and audio interfaces, just in case one doesn't start. So to answer your question about the laptop in these environments, I've seen many people using laptops to play backtracks or keyboards. Um, at a pub, I mean, you probably need something that will not die if someone spills, let's say, liquids onto it, and so you need something that's sturdy, which this one is. Like you can turn you won't break the thing. The top is closed. I mean, it's like an amp in that regard. Of course, if you drop the computer enough time, you may end up having issues. But if you drop a tube amp one time, you will probably have issues with the tube breaking or just getting out of their socket. um, and the laptop or tablet thing. I mean, I think I see that more and more. I think people start to be confident bringing their laptop to a show. I mean, they don't. I mean, if you don't do any stupid stuff with it, or even better, if you have a dedicated computer for music that does just one thing. That's what we do with Genome. Like only one application is on that Windows computer. We removed all the stuff we didn't need, especially the stuff that was starting with the system. So all of that is gone. Removed any like software protection, like antivirus, all that stuff we don't need. We don't connect it into a network. Um, but yeah, I mean, I would probably not bring a laptop to a small show because I would be too worried that I drop it or someone else drops it, someone drunk goes on the stage. But those things don't happen really in big shows. Um, do I think that we'll see more laptop on stages? I honestly don't know. I think it's all down to. I mean, it's not a technical question in the sense that does it work? Absolutely, yes. Like, I mean, is it the same as an amp with a screaming cabinet and your guitar and your pedals? Of course not. Of course not. It's not, but it's close enough. I think you can have a high quality tone nowadays, like very high quality tone, and people. I mean, the audience will be fine with it if you set up everything properly. But I think it's more of a psychological issue with the player who thinks he will get it broken. And when you have, let's say, a $2,000 laptop, you
Mm.
probably don't want to see it split in half because someone drug just smack it, and you're not getting your money back. So I think it's more down to this rather than the sound or the technical capability of the system. It is capable. It's not that different from a flow modeler in that regard. If you think you can bring a camper or a quad cortex or a helix to a show, it's the same bringing a laptop. Actually, you can do a lot more stuff with a laptop, probably go even better in quality. I mean, actually, you will get better in quality, but because you don't have the limitation of the hardware unit. But yeah, I mean, the computer on stage, like something I've seen, I mentioned it in the beginning of the live stream, is having like with Mirat, and I know other bands are doing it, having those rack computers that are at the front of house desk, and they're safe, but there's nothing on stage. So on stage, you will only have instruments, DIs going into a patch bay on stage, digitalized here, like converted into digital there, sent to the front of house mixer with optical or Ethernet. That's it. And then the computer is protected, hidden. Of course, they will have keyboard, mouse, and a proper screen to control everything. And it's not very rock and roll, but it's incredibly effective. And nowadays the systems, whether Windows, I'm not a big fan of Windows for audio, but it works, or Mac OS. I mean, it just works. I mean, if you don't have 20 stupid application downloading stuff or whatever, what they do, taking the memory. I mean, if you have a good, let's call it computer hygiene, it's extremely reliable. I don't see any issue with that.
Well, we know from first-hand experience at NAM that liquids and M3 MacBooks don't mix.
I didn't even think about. Please tell your story, Ross, because it's a good one. And start with you getting a brand new, extra powerful MacBook Pro.
Yeah, so I got a brand new, super powerful MacBook Pro and M3, and took it to NAM to run a Genome demonstration on our stand. I went for a meeting, and I came back, and everyone had sad faces on the stand, and someone had dropped a beer on my laptop.
Full brand new pint of beer.
Yeah, and see, I've got it. I've got it here. I've got it here. It works. So good work, Apple. But the keys are a little bit sticky, and you have to mash them a little bit.
We had them cleaned. We spent a bit of money to get it back, because otherwise it was just dead. Like Apple was just wanted to replace the full motherboard, so the motherboard was like 1,500 euros or something. It was like, what? Yeah.
So lesson learned there. So going to Hellfest, or the Sweatbox, as I refer to it, what was the reception to the product, and were there any standout moments for you in particular?
I think is there any stand-up moment? I'm not. I need to think about it, but the fun part worked in a sense that people were like, what kind of amp is that? Like Genome. I mean, a lot of people don't know Two Notes, right? I mean, I'm never assuming that everybody knows us. So some people were like, what's that Genome brand? And what does it do? And then they see the screen behind it. So it works in a sense that people were like, what's that? I think we got the most attention from our pro players, actually, like all the guys who made demos on the booth, and many pro players who come say hi because they know we're here, got extremely interested in it because they see instantly that it's not like they understand the knobs because they are amp knobs, and the switches are pretty obvious. They don't see that it's a lot of work to create the presets and do the MIDI thing, and it's not it's not a product. It's really, like I said, a proof of concept at best. But they totally see themselves coming on stage, putting that on a cabinet, even if it's a dummy cabinet, and use it on stage. Also, it's incredibly light. like it's probably like 8 pounds, 4 kilos, because you only have pretty much what weighs anything is the case, and that's it, because the computer is extremely small. It's like probably this big. The I mean, the PCB boards, the knobs, nothing weighs anything in there. So it's a 4 kilo solution, and it looks cool. Again, for people who like old school amps. So it's mainly the pro players who came to me saying, "Yeah, I want one," and I say, "I'm not making those," and I see people in the comments already asking for it, but it's not a product.
Well, that leads me nicely on to my next question, which we both knew we were going to get on this, which is, are there any plans to make a hardware version of Genome? And having made this version of the DIY project, would you follow a similar format, or would you do something different?
Well, I mean, the main issue with that system is that if you don't have a screen, a keyboard, and a mouse, you don't even see that Windows is started. So to make it more usable, you absolutely need some extra stuff. So either it's a touch screen that would do keyboard, screen, and mouse all in one. So that's why you have touch screens now on floor monitors, because it's practical. So you would want one, or you need to have, because you need to have a visual feedback on what you're doing. Like right now, it's actually started, but since I actually did not log into Windows, I can't do anything. So you could remove the login window and just like have Windows boot right away. There are ways to circumvent that. I didn't have time to do it, but again, the to make it a product, you need a bit more stuff. But apart from that, yeah, it does work. You just need that part to be figured out. I think on the forums we are in, people exactly said that, like, okay, it's cool and everything, but how do you know that your preset is loaded, or how do you know that Windows is not dead for some reason? I mean, of course, if you plug into it, you have no sound. That's good indication. But how do you fix it? And yeah, you need those like input device and output device.
I do apologize, my robot Hoover just went off again. I swear it's got a mind of its own.
Betrayed by technology. Yeah.
So final question from our list of pooled questions. What's next on the cards for Genome, and what do our users have to look forward to?
Yeah, and there's the question you don't ask, which is, do we make that into a product? So for Genome, we have, well, okay, there's always a question of what I can say or not, but our idea is always to keep releasing new effects, new pedals, new amps. Some of them being free, some of them being for sale. Is it a secret, Ross, that we work with partners? I'm not giving any detail, but
yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we're working with partners. Yeah,
and like actually yesterday we were shooting content for that, for example. So we plan to release partner products the same way we do with the cabinets on the Two Notes Torpedo line of products. So we want to do the same with Genome, because I think I think it's cool, especially since what we always try to do is to work with the actual devices that those partners either have been using on tour or on the recordings, or getting as close as possible to replicas of either old school pedals or modern pedals. But we always work with the builders to make sure they recognize their pedal, even if we use a digital system to recreate it. So that's for Genome. I think we have an update soon, right, Ross?
we do. We've got one coming next week, and
What's in it, Ross?
I'm not going to tell everyone, but it's awesome, and it's a big update. So we just had our compressors that we released about a month ago, and that was just a free update for all of our users to give them some tools that we know that they wanted.
Ultimate.
And next week we have a much bigger update, more on par with what we did for version 1.6 and version 1.8. So it should keep everyone occupied through the summer. That was our game plan, and it fulfills a lot of requests that we've seen on our own platforms and our forums, where our users have been requesting stuff. So yeah, we've got a lot in the pipeline, and it's not letting up anytime soon. We've got loads of stuff that we want to do. So.
And since we probably had the question 20 times since the beginning of the live stream, so regarding a genome hardware, so I'm not. That's a rule. We never comment on our roadmap. What I can say is that, of course, we are interested in doing something. The challenge is the fact that I'm trying not to make a lesser version of Genome so it works on a hardware platform, because the challenge is something that runs on a very powerful Mac that costs $1,500, and what you can actually put into the floorboard, the processor. Um, we can't design a $5,000 device. Nobody's interested. So there is always a compromise, a trade-off between quality and price when we do a hardware device, especially if we want to have parity between the Genome plugin and a Genome hardware. And if you look at the market, nobody has. I mean, Helix kind of has it, but that's the only device. Like Quad Cortex failed at it. I mean, and I'm not saying they're bad. It's incredibly complicated having the same code base for desktop application, potentially iOS. Not a lot of people are doing iOS. Android is a nightmare. Nobody does that. And a floorboard processor or processor of any kind, because the code is vastly different, especially the optimization is vastly different. So it's even the biggest companies fail at it. We're not one of the biggest companies. So again, I'm considering it. I'm trying to find ways to do it, but it's incredibly hard. So I'm not promising anything.
And I think as well, if you, it's not subtle. We've been asking our communities, if we were to do this, what would you want to see? And we always follow it up with, what price would you expect to pay for this? And the parity between the feature set that's required or disparity rather, and what you'd expect to pay. It's so, well, it's impossible. It's impossible.
Yeah, it's. I mean, yeah, people would expect to pay less than $500, and we know that under 1,500 it's not possible.
Yeah.
So that's the. But I mean, the end user, the customer, don't realize that, and I don't blame them for it. That's not their job. I mean, they want everything for as little money as possible. I mean, I'd love to have the performance of a Porsche in a car that costs 20K. I mean, yes, I'm buying one tomorrow, but there are reasons why, if you want the performance, you need to pay for it. And especially in our market, I think you would agree with me, Ross, that the margin are not insane. We sell technology. We sell the parts that are in the products. It's not clothes or the luxury industry. In our industry, what you pay for is the parts, like a significant part of the price are the parts. So the minute you put a bigger processor, or I give you the example, and we can do some simple math for our friends here. Let's say I'm buying the computer we have in there. Okay, we could. It's 5 milliseconds latency, which means with an FX loop you get to 10, because I mean, I guess people know that when you have an FX loop in a digital device, that's actually 4 input outputs if it's stereo, and you have twice the processing buffer, because you need to go out and back in again because of the FX. Anyway, so that's 10 milliseconds latency. It's not impossible to play with 10, but it's not amazing. But let's say we use that computer. I'm not buying the computer, just the boards. The board alone will cost me $150, $125, even if I buy 10 or 20,000 of them. And then if we do basic math, and I'm not giving any detail on that, but that means just the board, if I had to resell it, would cost probably 4 times the same price because of the distribution model and everything. Stores and everybody needs to make money with it. So that's between $400 and $500 right away, and then I need to build everything around it: the audio interface, the screen if we want one, switches, the middle housing, packaging, and everything. So we get to 1,000 to 1,200 incredibly quick. And it's a real challenge. I mean, I applaud those company who designed those FX processors, because it's not easy to actually make money with those.
No. And it's tricky to do, but we do listen all the time to all of our customer requests, and they are always fed back to our team. You've probably, if you've heard from Two Notes, it's either me or Guillaume that's replying to you, and we're always feeding the stuff back. Yeah. So please keep the feedback coming. We love it. If there's stuff you want to see in Genome as a software application, great. We had on one of our forums a Genome junior product manager thread that had evolved there with what people would like to see. We found that super useful because, like I said, this is a puzzle for us. But our focus is very much on keeping the Genome ecosystem alive, because we've got a core base of users who are massive fans of the software, and we want to keep giving them more bang for their buck. So, well, that's all the questions that I had, but we've had some interesting comments, and some revelations from long-standing users. So it'd be good to say hello to people. So hello, Jeremy Baker. It was good to see you here. Poo Ninja, like every video, he's the first one to comment.
I was sure Poo Ninja is not someone in the team here, because he's always there. I mean, am I paying him to be in the live stream, Ross?
He's definitely not a member of one of our team.
Who's this guy?
Yeah, who knows? He's an enigma. But he has said, and the plot thickens, in a past life he built circuit boards for military submarines. They were sealed in waterproof coating. It requires more engineering to assure temperature issues don't become an issue.
Yeah, because when you insulate your electronics from water, you also insulate it from air, and air is a good vector for temperature. So if you put yourself in a coat and then you go into the sun, that's not amazing. So
it's not a good idea.
Oh, plus your body is producing a lot of heat, especially you, Ross. So you would be ending up just cooking your stuff. No, I know it's very challenging. Luckily, I mean, we need to stay humble. The audio stuff is usually not as demanding in terms of like the challenges of the design. Though when I say that, in Rideau 2, we had to, since it's a 200 watts RMS load box plus the power amp in it, we had a lot of heat dissipation to take care of. And I think we did good, especially to keep the fan quiet as possible. So far we didn't have any people with problems with that, because most people in normal condition will never hear the fan. The fan was designed for like when you rack it and you go on stage and it's like 50 Celsius outside, and right in the sun, and then the fan does its job. But in normal studio application, you will never hear it.
Actually, saying that, it was pretty hot during the Black Sabbath gig weekend, and Reload 2 did an exceptional job on Tony Iommi's rig. with 2 Opus units. So it seems to be holding up well in even the most adverse of conditions.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So we've also got Dave here. He is a Reload 2 user. He did note that you could combine Genome in a box with a Reload 2.
Yeah, forum. Yeah. So my first idea with Genome in a box was to actually add the power amp that we use in Reload 2. So in Reload 2, we use a module, a Class D module. We tested a lot of them, and I have a full box downstairs to prove it. And we ended up with one of the leader of that industry, which is ICE. Like the monitors I have behind me, I think the Adam has them. The Dyno do, I'm not sure, but they are extremely famous. Also, Ashdown is using them. I mean, in the bass amps. So they are incredibly good, and it's not a huge board. If you want to have a very good heat dissipation, like if you need to push it hard, you need to add some stuff to it. But I could have used it, but it's just because with in our application, like I said, with the PA system, it didn't make any sense to have guitar cabinets with them. But if you were to, I mean, if you wanted, it would be weird, but if you want to put a setup together that looks like this, and you take a Reload, Reload 2, of course, the stereo power amp in the Reload 2, I don't see a stage where you wouldn't have enough power. I mean, it's especially if you use 8 or 4 ohms cabinets. Honestly, when we tried it, we had more problem with the cabinet actually not withstanding the power we're pushing into it, starting to vibrate and saturate, but because it was too much power coming from the power amp. But like not being able to hear your guitar tone, yeah, no, that's not going to happen. So yeah, you could definitely do that. It's a high budget. I mean, it's a high ticket rig, but yeah, you can.
Yeah, you don't even use the load box in it.
No, but it's a part. I mean, we have some users who sometimes use amps with Reload, but since you have line inputs, you can plug a monitor into it. You can plug whatever you want. I mean, it works great.
Yeah, no, it does. I can testify to that. I was using a Revolt guitar plugged into it. It sounded phenomenal. Basil has a minor criticism about the DIY solution. He said, well, he doesn't seem to like the logo. He said it's a bit big and looks a bit cartoonish.
I'm not selling those, dude. I mean, that's fine. I mean, the reason why it's big, cartoonish, and everything, it's the reason. It's because I want people to see it from a distance. So if you look at the Marshall logo, I know we don't see it very well, but it's almost the same size of the Marshall logo, which is massive. It's all about having it visible. And is it poor taste? Maybe, but at least people could see it from like 20 meters. That's the only, and that's why it's black and white as well. I mean, the only reason is visibility, because it's advertisement. It's not a product.
Good answer. Mark Nambrini is on the stream as well. He said, I want a Genome pedal, and he wants it to read NAM files.
Yeah, me too, Mark. I think I've seen Mark. I don't know if it's on Discord or our forums, but I'm pretty sure, because so I don't know if he's affiliated to the Nambrini brand that makes awesome plugins as well. But I remember thinking that when I saw him on, it's probably maybe Facebook. But Mark, I agree with you. If we wanted to go on the market, definitely the NAM player that we have in Genome, the codex block, would definitely be there, because I do find it's an awesome feature. You probably noticed that the codex player is a little bit different from the NAM player that's free. We added some functions that I think are practical and effective. Actually, the guys from Geekfest that we talked to recently, who makes a very good iOS version of the NAM player, were telling me they use the codex as an example of what you should do and what function you should have around the NAM profile, which is a fixed profile. It's like the camper. You just have like one sound, and when you turn the knobs, it's not your profile anymore. So we took some time to actually figure out what features we would want to add to it to make it worth it. And Mark had another remark about water being a good vector for dissipating heat. I agree, Mark, but you forgot the first part, which is there is a lot of insulation before going into the water, and the insulation is the issue, not the vector after that. It's the insulation you have to put. That's the grease plus the plastic, whatever, and everything you put in there, which is not a conductor for heat, and that's the problem.
There we go. Proof that the fire emoji isn't always a good thing. So
a fire in a submarine, you usually want to avoid that. That's not.
Yes.
I mean, you have plenty of water, but you don't want the water in. You want the water out of the submarine most of the time.
And we've got Poo Ninja. He seems to be a submarine specialist, so he'll back us up on that.
Exactly, yeah.
Poo Ninja also says R&D isn't free. You're very right there, Poo Ninja. It most definitely is not.
Yes, I can make a business comment about that. I mean, Two Nuts is very much a small business, right? And we are a very small team of 12 people here. Most of it being R&D, and of course we work with other people around us to help us work on the products. But to design a modeler takes a lot of people and a lot of expertise. The software side of it is just a nightmare. So, I mean, I don't know how many people are in the Helix team working on the new products, but I don't think any number under 20 would work. Just R&D. And there are probably more than that. I actually don't know. I mean, maybe they have two guys who are genius and work 10 times faster than anybody else. But I've met guys who claim to be geniuses, and I was never too impressed. So I mean, it's a big boys game. We are probably a little bit too small to be playing that game, but we could do something in the middle. So I mean, there are options.
Awesome.
I mean, unless one of our listeners want to send me a couple of $1 million, and I'll make him one.
Yeah.
I'm serious, Ross. I mean, yeah, let's do this. I mean, send me a couple of millions. I mean, yeah, you get one.
Yeah, I'll have one as well. 1 million, that'd be great.
I mean, you get friends and family price.
Yeah, great. There was a bit of a debate about the Helix Stadium price. Some people saying that people are buying. This was in relation to the price points we were talking about, that being the new player in the market, the price being quite high. And some people said that it's about right for where it should be. We're not gonna comment on that, but it's an interesting debate to have, and it's one that we have a lot in relation to our product line. When you compare feature sets, and I think this has been a great discussion to actually, show users about how we have to price our products based on how that product gets to market. Mm-hmm. So I think it's been a bit revealing in that respect.
Yeah.
And Dave has finished the comments by saying with his Reload 2, he's currently driving 2 Hessu 4x12 cabs, and it's loud. And loud is in big letters.
Yeah, loud is loud. Yeah, no, I mean, I have an anecdote about that. When we tested the modules, so before even Reload, so we were at the proof of concept stage. So we had a prototype load box, like in a carton box, a prototype load box, several modules, and we went to a venue that's close from here where I'm patron at. And that's usually where we sometimes shoot content. We shot videos for CaptorX there. Actually, I'm going there tomorrow. I was there this week once already. And I remember when we were pushing those boards into like a couple 4x12s on forums, I think the owner of the place actually came to say he's never heard, and he was outside. and he told me he's never heard guitar sound that loud in that space. Because simply because, I mean, it's not that it wasn't possible. It was just that if he were in the room with us, he would have told us to to stop, to stop right away. And he came from outside telling us it was too loud. So yeah, it was. It works.
It's all right. I already ticked the not safe for children uh,
Oh, good. I
checkbox.
didn't curse. I think I didn't curse today. I
No,
think
you've
I'm
done well.
improving.
Done well.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the everything that we had to cover today. I'd like to say thanks so much to everyone for joining. We really do appreciate it. As ever, I'm going to go through our useful links to have. If you would like to have a chat with any of our support members, if you've got any problems, contact our support desk. We're always there. Or you can talk to Tony on the chat bot on the front of our site. We're training him every day. And Tony
Yeah, we give him very good food. I mean, we love him.
Yeah. If you want to have a chat with me and Guillaume, we're always on the Genome community. So come on down, have a chat. There's the link there. If you want to sign up to our newsletter, I send the emails from that. I promise I won't spam you much. If you'd like to join our dedicated Facebook community, we're on Facebook at Two Notes Audio community. Come and have a chat with us there. Or you can catch us on Instagram. You can get us on Twitter. And we're on TikTok as well, but we don't do any dancing.
I'm actually thinking about it. I mean, I have a new like swimsuit. I mean, I think people would love it.
Okay, well, let's get some upvotes for that. We've also got a Discord community.
Yeah. I actually like it. I mean, I know you're there a lot, Ross. I try to go there from time to time, but I do like it because you know what? I think I find what I'm missing now especially in the social media forums like Facebook, where you're kind of lost in all the posts and everything. It's very hard to follow up on things. Well, the Discord stuff is a little bit like that, but it's better organized. I actually quite like it. I like that community. I like to say just one word since Poo Ninja mentioned it. On the partner product, and he said that he was pestering the ref team about having a Genome ref product. Guys, you have a power to contact the brands you like and just tell them, yeah, you should contact Tunos, a new version of it. I mean, we're very open to collaboration. We've done a lot of them with cabinets. Like I said, we have quite a few of them, or quite a lot of them in the works, but it takes time. But you guys have a power by just going to their socials and just pestering them, saying, yeah, you guys, you have let's say an IK version of your stuff, but you should have a Genome version of it. And it does help us in the conversation with them. So you can be a part of that effort, and you should do it.
That's a great call to action.
Yeah, weaponizing the fans.
Yeah, let's do it.
Also, sorry, Ross, we didn't answer all the questions. I always take some time after the live stream, not instantly, but in the weekend or next week, just to look at the questions, and we're doing our best to answer everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you've got any specific questions, get us on the communities. We're always there.
Also, I have a last very important question, like beard or no beard, right? I mean, I shaved, Ross. That's for you.
Yeah,
but I know you prefer me with a smooth skin. But if you want the beard back, I mean, I mean, that's a very important. Do we create a Discord forum for that, or just the YouTube comments, right?
Yeah, YouTube comments. Yeah, should Guillaume grow his beard back or not? What do you think?
Please let me know.
Wonderful. Well, thanks so much, everyone. Have a great weekend, and stay tuned for the next live stream.
Excellent. Thank you all. Bye-bye. Thank you, Ross.